everybody. My name is Madeline, and this is 5 Easy Questions, a show where we just kind of break down all there is to know about the stock market and how to invest for beginners. So today we have the privilege of talking to my coworker, Vishal, who knows everything about everything on stock charts. So I'm just going to head right into it. 5 easy questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Question 1. What type of charts are available?
Okay, so what I have in front of me is, of course, a famous one. This is called a candlestick chart, and it was actually made popular by this dude here named Steve Nissen, who actually brought this over from Japan. This book here, The Japanese Candlestick Charting Techniques, basically revolutionized trading, I guess, when it came out. This technique actually goes back to, believe it or not, a rice farmer in Japan. So if you want to know about candlesticks, this is the Bible. But of course, we have charts such as the line chart, which is technically what you see in, say, Yahoo Finance. Very simple to read, but there's also things such as the bar chart. But all of these have different, basically, ways to show us price action and how things move. I prefer to use candlesticks because I think they're just a bit easier to read. Well, maybe not easier to read, but gives a bit more information in terms of price action. I would say the easiest is probably the line chart, because with that, you can tell if something's going up or down quite easily.
Perfect. Number 2, why look at charts?
This is just me. My experience with charts, I think, if you are a trader or if you're someone that wants to invest, and I don't necessarily want to say you want to pick tops and bottoms, because obviously that's not really what you want to do. It's quite difficult picking tops and bottoms, but I think you can strategically enter positions by using charts, right? You can look at basically levels that look like there's buyers or a level where there's sellers, and you can basically dictate your strategy on whether to buy, whether to sell. And what charts generally show, I believe, is psychology. I mean, that might be a bit controversial, but I believe, price action and psychology is quite similar. So when I'm seeing big red, I'm basically thinking fear, sell, and you can sort of read into the minds of what a trader behind the desk might be thinking. But yeah, I think it's a great area to pinpoint entries and exits.
And I just kind of thought this is question 2B,
Okay.
because there's fundamental analysis and technical analysis.
Yep.
But would you say that kind of lately or in recent history, technical analysis is a little bit more, it's just something you can count on more when we see things like the GameStop saga or companies that don't really have great fundamentals doing?
So that's like the big debate. Fundamental analysis versus technical. There are people that, hate the other side, or there's some people that use both. Of course, when I mean fundamental analysis, it's looking at things like the PE ratio and earnings per share, all that kind of stuff, really made sort of popular by Warren Buffett and, those guys that will look at undervalued stocks. In my opinion, and this is just me, I think a lot of these numbers with the type of market we're in, they're sort of in flux. And I believe technicals do sort of show a better indication right now, because obviously there's a lot of new money in markets and a lot of day trading and traders as well. And I find it really depends on the market. So you mentioned, companies that maybe don't have good fundamentals. And you mentioned the Wall Street bet stuff where GameStop and AMC and all these things popped. There was some fundamental analysis there, right, where people were looking at short sells and short positions. But if you follow my work, or if you follow Equity Guru's Discord group and Market Moment, you do see that a lot of technicals actually could tell you what buyers and sellers were thinking. And right now, the cryptocurrency market is where the technicals are really shining right now.
Awesome. Question 3. What are 3 words you must know when analyzing a stock chart? Or just in other words, like what would you feel like embarrassed to not know, that like the lingo that people use when talking about stock charts?
Okay, I'll keep it quite simple. I mean, we talked about candlesticks and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's a word that a lot of people would generally be in the diction of traders nowadays, but I think very simple: support and resistance, which are just basically a fancy way of saying price ceiling for resistance and price floor as support. And I would say the trend, right? So trending markets, and that's quite self-explanatory. I mean, you can draw a nice little trend line here on the S&P 500, and quite clearly you can see we're in an uptrend. So as they say, the trend is your friend. And I think that's an important vocabulary word to have. Simple, but very important.
Awesome. Number 4, how can you tell when to buy or sell?
How to tell what to buy or sell. Okay, so we're gonna go take a look at, again, what I just mentioned, support and resistance. And oh, there we go. We actually have a picture of a buy here. But generally, I would look at support, and a support is, again, a fancy way of saying a price floor. So that's where we would expect buyers to step in, and then resistance as a price ceiling, where we would expect sellers to take profits. So I think, if you look at basic support and resistance, just these horizontal lines where you see a lot of entries and exits. So for example, I drew this line here on the S&P 500. That was a support, but it broke. So we were taking sell orders, and so far so good. But if we were going to take profits, we would look at this support right down here. So maybe one more leg tomorrow and we'll be out of our position. So basically keep it simple, look at price ceilings and price floors, and that's where I would look to buy and sell.
Awesome. And last question, this is slightly redundant because I kind of made you say this already. How important are charts in your personal research compared to other information?
Yep. So we went through fundamental versus technical. This is my experience, and I'm more of a guy that trades a lot of currency pairs, Forex pairs. So the euro versus the US dollar, gold, copper, whatever. I used to look at a lot of data, right? So you're going to hear about economic data, GDP data, CPI, housing starts. And yes, it does make markets move, but in a way, I sort of believe we live in an age of imperfect information, and you've seen some insider trading. So I like to look at the charts because I believe they actually give us signals or signs of big money or maybe insiders taking positions. And I've had a lot of experiences, actually, many experiences, where the charts sort of foretell, or they can, basically tell me what the data print is going to be, just because we know, or we see visually, big money and maybe people with inside information taking positions. So I think, definitely add technicals to your arsenal. I think they're very handy, especially in this type of trading environment.
Awesome. And just question 5B, and then we're done. I know I lied. This has become 7 easy questions. Here we are. You are interested in a company. What's the very first thing that you do and look at?
So it depends on the company. If it's something smaller, I'd want to look at their cash position and their balance sheets and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, right off the bat, I would go to the chart, and the first thing I would do is I would look to draw some support and resistance levels. So, say this is a company we're looking at. Obviously, it's not something I would want to buy right now because of the sell, but I would just be drawing some support and resistance line just like this, connecting the lows. I'll show you guys a quick little secret. If you don't like candlesticks, you can move or change your chart to line charts, and you can find the support and resistance levels very easily. This is actually a pretty big secret. There are people who sell courses for thousands of dollars teaching this, but add that to your arsenal. I think it's a very powerful way, and that's the first thing I would do, just technically, right? And then I would take a look at the fundamentals.
Awesome. Good thing I asked you this question. $1,000 secret.
Yeah.
That should be the title of this. We need to make sure our editor does that for some clickbait. Okay, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we'll probably talk to you soon, hopefully.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.